Okay, here we are. We're outside St Paul's Cathedral. It's Sunday. The tourists and the Christians are going in and out of here to say their prayers, and they are Christians, and that means that if they're Christians, that they support Jesus. Now, Jesus would not say evict these people. That's what it's all about. The head of the Church of England is the crown. The Queen is the head of the Church of England, and we, as Christians, we are supposed to fight against Satan. But 4 years ago, the Queen allowed Satanism to be practiced in Her Majesty's Royal Navy. All right, so it's so ambiguous.
I'm sorry. But I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful. But we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Now these are the protesters. Ellie, tell us what you're here for, Ellie.
I think I'm here for self-empowerment, really.
Yeah. What's your beef? What is it? What is it that drives you mad?
There's so many things, but it is just a complete lack of respect in society.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that trickles down from the top.
Yeah.
Because they do set the example, and it's it infects all of us.
Yeah. Unfair play.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's it. Right, I'm just going to move on, Ellie. Hello, mate. Right, what's your name?
My name's Aaron.
Right, Aaron. Let's read this first. There may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest. You get a round of applause from that.
Thank you.
Right, so what are you here for? Tell us what you're here for.
Basically against the corporate greed, the undue influence these bankers and these corporations are having on not just our government, but international governments.
Yeah.
And also the fact that the City of London is classed as a sovereign state.
Right.
It's one of 3 in the world. The Vatican, City of London, Washington DC. They are what I call the unholy trinity.
Well, I agree with you on the Vatican, 100%.
Yeah.
Did you know that it was only up to 4 years ago that at the Vatican, the age of consent in the Vatican City was just 12. And the only people allowed to stay in the Vatican City are the priests, the nuns, and the altar boys.
Yeah.
I think you've got to be 12 to be an altar boy. Now,
Bit
they put it up.
naughty, innit?
Now they put it up to 14. The rest of Italy. You know what I mean? Whether that's in up. Anyway. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move along. We've got a lady here.
Hi.
What's your name, darling?
Mandy.
This is Mandy. Right, Mandy. What are you doing here?
I'm fighting for injustice.
What kind of injustice? Give me some of you. What's your main beef?
Well, my main beef is adults with learning disabilities and children and disabled and old people that are shunned, pushed to the side while the corporates get bigger, the councils, they have their parties, they have their fancy lights, and meanwhile back at the ranch people are homeless and they've got not a hot meal in the belly.
Well,
I think it's wrong.
I'll give you a little bit of information. Is that the disabled kids are the worst abused.
Yeah.
There's more. Have you heard of the Holly Gregg case?
Yes.
So you know
Yes,
about
yes, I do.
Robert Greene
Yes.
and Holly Gregg, and up in Scotland the government are refusing to bring this case into the open, and Robert Greene is in court for 2 weeks now. So we keep our fingers crossed
Yes.
for him.
Yeah. Wicked.
Okay. Was it
Awesome.
Mandy?
Mandy.
God bless you, Mandy.
Thank you.
Now.
Do you want to go with that side?
Okay, right now. This is Bo. Yeah? Yep. Now, tell us what you're here for, Bo.
I'm here for social injustice, to be honest. Social injustice and so-called elitist greed. And the people that are sat there at the top of their little pyramids doing everything they can to make their dollar, regardless of the effects that has on everyone else.
Yeah.
People should have a basic standard of living. Shelter, food, energy. And so many people don't have one of these, let alone all 3. And that's disgusting in my opinion. People need this basic standard of living. We've got the resources to do it. But again, it's the elitist greed that stops this from happening.
Bo, how long have you been fighting for these causes?
I've been fighting for the last 3 months.
Right, but do you think that anyone's listening?
Yeah, they are. They're
How
starting to listen.
do you feel about the church's attitude? What do you think about that? Because if this is their land, I'll go back to how I opened the interview with you all, is that Jesus would no way say, right, let's get the riot squad in and throw these people out. He wouldn't do that, would he?
Not at all.
So they're supposed to be living, that is their Bible. Why? Why won't they stick to Jesus' teachings? Why are they trying to, push us to the politicians, what their points of view are, what the army's point of view is, what all the police point of view is? Why are they doing that to us?
Because they're all in it for profit. Nothing else. Churches offer prayer, not for profit. It's about £10–15 for a ticket to go into St Paul's. It's a typical
So
example.
you've got to pray to pay,
You've got
paid to pray.
They say, oh, if you come in for a service, you don't have to pay. Anyone else wants to come in, they don't tell you that you can go in to pray for free.
Yeah.
They just make you believe, oh, you have to pay to get in here, you have to pay. But you know who's on their board of directors and such? We've got people like the Barclays Bank, you've got people like the Rothschilds. They're all out there investing money into this.
Because
they keep making their bit.
Bo, this building is worth a fortune.
It is.
If you took that building down, the land would be worth more than the building, probably.
Exactly.
So you should be allowed, shouldn't you?
You
Really?
should. And the thing,
Because this is Jesus' land, isn't it?
well, they say it's Jesus' land, but as we know, Jesus threw the money lenders out of church. Jesus didn't want money being made from religion.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Right.
They're making a fortune of people's beliefs.
Yeah. Well, listen. Let me get on camera with Bo for a minute. Now, I'll tell you what Jesus said. He said, "It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter my Father's kingdom." Now, the Queen is very rich. So's her husband. That means they can't enter his kingdom because they're rich. Jesus said it. The bankers are rich. The politicians are rich. The lawyers are rich. So they're not going to heaven because Jesus told them that. So, how are we a Christian society when our leaders will not go by the rule of the Bible? Thank you very much, Dom.
Thank you.
Love you. You keep doing what you're doing, bro.
Thank you very much.
My name's Bill Maloney, Vivienne, and I work for Citizens Media. I'm a film activist, and I'm here to show these people in the correct light because they're not happy with the way the national media are reporting them. So we don't edit it, Vivienne. And we would like to know if you give us a short synopsis of your views on what's happening here?
Oh my God, I can't do that now.
Can't you, Vivienne?
No, it's too... What's happening here, I try, but I just feel a bit drained.
I can understand that,
But
Vivienne,
wait a minute.
but there are people that are sleeping rough and around the world, you know what's going on. So if you could just give us some of your views on it, on what is happening. You spent time with the people. That's what we're here for. We're here to put the truth across. We're truth seekers, and we come from a film company called Pie and Mash Films. You can't get more London than that. And the tactics that people are using. Myself, I was brought up in the care institutions of this country. Myself and my 7 siblings, we were all abused. I'm now a documentary filmmaker, but I work for Citizens Media, not for any of the national media. Though they have tried to get us to work for them, but they edit things to pieces, and I would just like your views on it. That is all. I lost 2 sisters in the care system, my mother as well.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to all the time think what I'm going to say here.
Yeah.
You're telling
just
me
be
this
yourself,
terrible
just
story, but
just
wait,
be yourself, Vivienne.
Well, okay, I'll just say something for 1-2 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So the quest that these people are fighting here, what are your thoughts on that? Against the bankers and against the corporations,
I'm talking to you, not to the camera.
Yeah,
is
talk
that
to me,
it?
Vivienne.
Sorry,
Yeah.
okay. Well, it's the 3rd time I've come down here.
Good.
And I've seen a lot of the same people. They've been here all that time.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely great, and I'm very personally grateful to them for doing what they're doing. They are engaged with the world. There aren't many people who are engaged with the world these days who want to make the world a better place. Most people just sort of curl up and don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely brilliant that they're standing up for their principles and trying to find a path through what we can possibly do to make the world a better place. And their particular focus, of course, is the financial system and all the ills and the absolute illusion that everybody is agreeing to, which doesn't really exist. And we're very likely to have a crash sooner rather than later. For sure we're going to get it. And I think these people are doing their very best to help society survive. And how we can find our way out of that. And I think the church has been really great, actually.
Well, it's Jesus' teachings. Jesus wouldn't get rid of them, would he?
No, exactly. And I think they've behaved really well. I think it's really a lovely chance of accident that they happen to be here and that they could stay here for so long. Yeah. And I mean, I hope they can stay even longer because they're really trying to find positive solutions to all this.
One more question, Vivienne. We have 1.2 million youth unemployed in this country, and we all know about going through puberty. We all know about the traumas of going into adulthood and the energy that we have when we are children. Where are these children going to put their energy, Vivienne? And they've got nothing to do. I come from the lower club.
I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah. We have no boxing clubs, no youth clubs, all the resources that kept them off the street and gave them things to do. That's where I come from. I talk for the lower classes, Vivienne. That is what I do. I don't talk for the... I've even got to run for...
I don't want to hear you. I want to tell you, then I can
I
go.
want to hear you, Vivienne.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
okay.
Good.
Okay, because I know the problem. Okay, very, very well do I know the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a punk, all the kids at school, what they wanted was to just leave school and go and live in a squat. They didn't want to work. And what I'm saying is that I think work is very, very great. I left school really early because I wanted to work, and you could, in those days, you could get a job just like that, any job, you could get a job.
Yeah.
So maybe you can get any job sometimes, I'm not sure. But what I'm saying is that time is precious, and do not judge yourself by the fact that you don't have a job. Judge yourself by how engaged you are with the world. What are you learning in this life? Get a life. And time is luxury, use it. If you live in the country, try to find out the names of all the trees. I mean, you know something about the world. If you live in the city, go to one of the 3 museums and start to become an art lover, become an expert on art. I mean, whatever it is, it's not easy, but you don't have to do nothing. If you want, you can actually put something in. It's very, very, and by the way, there's no progress in art. Look at all the old stuff. It's more modern than anything you'll find anywhere else.
I agree with you. What I know about it anyway.
And every painting, for example, in the National Gallery is a window on the world. It's a view of somebody who lived in another age.
Yeah.
If you start to understand something about that, you start to understand something about your own life. You start to have a real anchor in life. Nothing will ever blow you away. You get a sense of personal progress.
Well,
and I wish them all a job, because in the end it's
but they
great
haven't
to
got
have a
them.
job.
There's 1.2 million unemployed.
If you do what I'm saying, somebody will employ you. You'll have something that somebody wants to know about.
Yeah.
There'll be a way to. You follow your deep interest. Try to educate yourself. And there will be somebody who wants to give you a job at the end of that. So we have neglected our children in this country because we've got 1.2 million unemployed, and it never happened overnight. The whole financial...
We have neglected our children.
Yeah, we have.
And the bankers are guilty of genocide because a lot of the money.
No, I don't want to hear it. You tell that to your camera. I know all about this. I know about this. I've got to.
Because a lot of the money would have been going to feed the poor.
No, I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
Would you consider coming down?
Things, but I can't stand here and listen to you because that's not good.
Well, we want to listen to you, Vivienne, but thanks for what you've done so far anyway. Tina here. Tina, you're an occupier?
Yep, been an occupier from October 15th.
Right, and tell me your story. Tell me about it.
I do half weeks. I do roughly 4 days on, 3 days off.
Yep.
I come down and stay on site. I'm on my own. I just come down from Blackpool. Spend £75 every week doing it. Lost all my income in November, but didn't care. Because it's too important, and it's, you know what's really strange about it? Is that you come down with some sort of an anger with your government because you know it's going wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it. And you may come because you're anti-war or you're pro-environment or something, but when you get here, you suddenly realise that we've all come from all these distant places, and we've met in one place and gone, enough is enough. I am not taking another step in the wrong direction, so I will sit in a tent until we get it changed.
Yeah.
And then you start listening to the others, and you realise your justifiable anger is even bigger, because you hadn't realised quite, like talking to people with mental health issues on the site, and realising how the corruption of our government and the constant greed of pharmaceutical companies and things like that feeds their problems, you know, that they are then trapped in a system where they can't get out, and things you didn't empathise with before, you suddenly understand.
Yeah.
And you think,
so it's opened your mind.
Oh, completely, and it's made you more determined, where before I was just a little bit peeved, bloody angry. And do you know what's the stupidest thing they're doing? Is we are the gentle face of a huge anger. And when they squash us and silence us, we're just a canary in the mine. You know, you squash and silence us, something very ugly will follow.
I've driven all over the inner cities of London, and I've seen kids smashed up against the wall.
Yeah.
They've been humiliated, police officers getting out, like, you know, with this sort of attitude, and enticing the kids to swear at them. Now, a judge has said, because they were arresting children for swearing at police officers. Now, a judge said, well, you're a little bit tougher than that, you know, you're police officers. If someone tells you to fuck off, you can't want to lock them up for that.
Well, what really annoys me is they actually have been reasonably gentle with us compared with stuff that's happening abroad. But not only that, but with what happens in our own streets with, you know, the blacks and the youth who get stopped and searched so violently.
Yeah.
And yet with us, we're kind of almost treated with kid gloves in a way. And in some ways you think that's because it's on show, because they'll be seen to be doing that. And the only reason that we have survived is that. Because we're protesting Paternoster Square, but if they bloody us on the steps of St Paul's, it's a PR nightmare for the police.
So, okay, here we are, we're in Tent City University, just outside St Paul's Cathedral, and we've got some of the protesters here, activists, whatever you want to call them. As far as I'm concerned, these are people that are speaking and acting for freedom in a peaceful manner, and a lot of them are being sought after, shall we say, for that particular reason. Okay, right, let's open this debate. We're with Dom. What you got to say, Dom? Commonly known as Dom, free man of the land.
That's what people label me as, but I've never claimed to be a free man myself. But the information is valuable to anyone that feels like their government's lying to them.
Yeah.
I found out over the past few years that one of the biggest lies is the legal system, and it's there to control us, and we have to consent to their rules for it to give it the force of law. Yeah. So that is all just a trick game. But then when we look at this place that's being set up, the Occupy movement, I've been looking into it quite deeply, and I've found some really scary things, like the Tavistock Institute, which is the mind control branch of the MI5, have been here since week 1 doing workshops.
You're talking about this little city here, this tent city, if you like, it has been infiltrated by, you're saying, like, people that are working in MI5, really, the Tavistock.
Yeah, I'm not actually saying infiltrated. I think this has been set up from the start. Whose idea was this? Whose plan was this? Whose agenda is this? And what are the motives and what are the goals? Because what I'm finding out, the original revolution over Egypt, Yemen, Arab Springs, that was an original revolution where millions of people were standing up, and actually in Yemen what they were trying to do was claim their sovereignty back. They didn't want to be governed by a corrupt government, and they wanted to be free from that control. So when that happened, they were getting shot, a lot of violence is going on, and it's still going on today. I spoke to somebody in Yemen a couple of weeks ago. 300 people went on a peaceful protest carrying roses barefoot, and they were signifying wanting to be sovereign to their land. And every single one of them got shot dead. Not a thing of it's in the media. They're all saying that they've been infiltrated by the American government. The takeover went from there. George Soros, who's Adbusters, one of the elites, has been funding it through Adbusters all around the world. And then you've got a globalised movement started from Wall Street, and it's spread. And I said, when it comes to the City of London, because this area here, the half square mile, is in fact the banking district, this is where they'll change the rules. They'll bring in one world currency, one world government, and more control.
Look what they've done with the euro, you know what I mean? So, Dom, can I just move on to someone else? And then I'm going to come back to you, okay? Oh, we've got Bo. Yeah. Now, I've done an interview, short interview with you earlier, Bo. Give me your reasons. Give me your thoughts.
I think this still has some potential because there's still enough people here that are in it for the right reasons, that do believe that we can make a change. But there's definitely been some level of hijacking, for lack of a better word, of the occupation movement. There's definitely some other ulterior agenda, whether it's... that's past.
That's all right, we've got the paddies going past, of which I am one. We'll just give them a minute. Do you have your leaders? You need leaders. Do you not need leaders? Because you do. You find in these situations that some people are good orators, some people aren't. Some people have wonderful ideas. They have all the right motives behind it, but they can't chuck it out verbally.
I don't believe in leaders. I don't believe there are leaders here. I do believe there are influential people, and I believe that a lot of what happens in the GE, which I tend to not be a part of, they are kind of led. Some people here are also kind of sheeple in a way. But I'm a firm believer that if you have a good idea, I'll follow that good idea. But if I have a better idea, I'm going to do that. I'm going to follow whatever.
You're going to challenge it.
I'm going to follow whatever I think is the best idea at the time. Whether that's my idea, your idea, Joe Blogg's idea, I'll follow a good idea. But then, it's like the old saying, lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Mandy.
Hi.
There we go. This is Mandy. Mandy, how do you feel? What's going on?
I feel quite inspired still, but it's not what I expected when I came here. I think there's a lot of...
Is the inspiration dropping here?
No, I've actually gained some inspiration from here. I think people are in a quandary over it because of the court case that's going on, so shaky ground, sorry.
It's the law.
Yeah, because and the law bend itself to please themselves. Always, and that's making people unsure.
But do we still swear on the Bible when we go into a court of law?
I don't.
But do they ask to?
They ask you to.
Do you know what I mean? But do the judges swear?
I don't think so.
There's a lot of judges.
Ask them what their oath is. I'm sure most of them won't be able to recite it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Right, we've got another guy. I just want to stick with one thing here, people, because as you know, we've been fighting for many years against institutional paedophile rings that are operating in this country now. That's Pie and Mesh Films. And Mandy, I was talking to her earlier. Now you have knowledge of certain things, and you're a carer yourself.
Yes.
What do you think about the way because we got 1.2 million youth unemployed in this country. Now we all know, all of us here, we all went through puberty, and we understand the energy of the youth. What are they going to do with that energy? They're not going to work. They've got nothing to do all day. We gave them the Red Bulls, we gave them the energy drinks, we gave them the Alco Pops. So first we give them the amphetamine, then we gave them the alcohol pops, shot of alcohol in it. That's how we're treating our kids. We've neglected the children in this country, and now we dare to say that we are going to shoot them on the street with live ammunition or rubber bullets. And our young offenders institutions are still using unlawful restraining techniques, and we got 3 children dying in care every single week in this country, Mandy. This is a bit close to your heart. How do you feel about that?
I feel absolutely disgusted in the things that happen in this country. How can we bring up a generation and expect them to have just your basic rights, like your respect and your respect for yourself, if we're not showing it to them in the first place? They learn by what they see. They watch violent films, they play violent games. They do this from a young age, and they think that's the correct way to be.
Yeah.
But it's not. We need to show them, and we need to show them.
At the moment, we are the keepers of the planet.
Yeah.
But the children are the future keepers of the planet.
Yes.
We have to start there. If we don't start there, we're just going to have the same shit going round and round and round about all the time. Now, what I'd like to say to you all is, I'm running for mayor this year. Now, that sounds crazy, but I went to City Hall. I was at City Hall for a briefing of all the independent candidates for mayor. There's only 9 of us. You've got 7.2 million people in London. You've got 5.4 million of those that are registered voters. Now, in the brief that they gave me, what I have to do to run for mayor, first thing is I've got to get 10 votes from every borough in London. Okay, no problem. That comes to 330 votes. I've also got to give them £10,000. They want that £10,000 either banker's draft or cash. No denomination below £20 notes. When does the government ever pay any of us in a banker's draft or cash? That's a little bit dodgy there. Yeah? We don't get the same publicity. Gyro check.
The money's created as you sign on the dotted line to cash your gyro check. People don't realise that money doesn't come from a pot. That money is created when you go and cash that check.
Exactly. Right, let's move to this man. What's your name, mate? Aaron. Right, Aaron, what are you here for? Give me some of your feelings, your views.
I'm quite optimistic of it. I mean, I work for Amnesty International. I'm a secretary for the local group. So, I mean, as a defender of human rights, I mean, this protest movement that's now gone global is very much in my blood anyway. I'm very inspired because since we've been here, we've had people from Tahrir Square, we've had people come over from Occupy Wall Street, we've had Jesse Jackson here, we've had people from Radiohead, Massive Attack.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the idea is catching on, and it's going around the globe. No matter what happens here, you're not going to stop the people.
Well, that's another thing. It's like the black youth, the black people of this country, they have no leaders anymore. You know, Martin Luther, that's what happens to their lead. Malcolm X, that's what happens to him. Now we got Jesse Jackson. So the black voice in this country has dwindled.
Yeah, saying about the Queen, in a landmark case last year with John Anthony Hill, it was in a landmark case, it was said that she is not the legal monarch of this country.
Yeah.
Because when she took her sovereign's oath at the coronation, she put her hand on the sovereign's Bible, which is in Hebrew, and thereby she's supposed to uphold the laws of God. So when she gave, the royal accession to the legislation, she broke her coronation oath.
Yeah.
And also the fact that when she sat on the coronation throne, it wasn't the stone of scone she was sitting on, which is supposed to be part of the coronation.
Exactly.
So again, people are asking questions about, is she a valid monarch?
My opinion is Palestine is the biggest concentration camp that we've ever had on this planet, and that is being controlled by Israel. Now Israel, the Israelis, the Jews, the Hebrews, whatever you want to call them, they went through the Holocaust. What have they learned? And I'm not just talking about the Israelis. I think that all Jewish people should stand up and say, we went through this, our parents went through this, our grandparents went through this. It was brutal, and now Israel, you represent us. You're doing the same. How do you feel about that one?
Just, I mean, when you look at that, that's the longest running occupation in the world. Yeah. Funnily enough, and the people of Palestine, we should look at them for inspiration.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, over the decades, year by year, they've had their rights taken away, they've had the land taken away, they've been violated every which way possible. And we're here, and it's like we're complaining about like occupying London.
Yeah.
You know, so we need to look abroad to see what these people are going through in Egypt and Tahrir Square. You know, because if we don't stop these bastards in this country, we'll have what's abroad coming home to roost.
Right, well, so I just want to lighten the moment for a minute, okay? Can I tell you a joke? Right, there's a Palestinian family, and they're sitting around the table, and they're eating their dinner. There's a bang on the door, a big bang on the door. And the father says to his son, go and open the door. If anyone's out there, ask them, tell them we're eating. If they want to come and share our food, let them in. So the son, he goes and opens the door and he comes back and he says, Father, it's an Israeli. Father stands up and he says, quick, hide the fucking land. And that is what's happened. And we shall build Jerusalem in England's green and pleasant land.
Well,
and it's happening all over
we're
the world.
stood in Jerusalem right now. We're stood in the new Jerusalem. You know, I'm not really an expert on the fire of London and what happened, but you know, it doesn't take a genius to see that from the ashes of a so-called accidental fire in Pudding Lane, Christopher Wren has built the New Jerusalem here in the heart of the city of London.
Christopher Wren never built anything in his life.
What?
He might have drawn it, but
Okay.
the lower classes built it.
Okay.
The lower classes built like Buckingham Palace. The lower classes built this, and they died while they was doing it. And all their tube lines, and etc., etc. Because my parents were Irish, and the Irish helped to rebuild this country. You know what I mean?
I do understand where you're coming from, but I wanted to change the subject a little bit and
go
talk
ahead.
about something a bit lighter, a bit more inspirational.
Yeah.
Someone I discovered on the internet not so long ago, a guy called Bruce Lipton, who had to give up an alumni at an American university because the results of experiments that he was doing with stem cell research back in the 60s meant that when he went back to his board to tell them that what he was teaching doctors and surgeons was dogmatic and actually not the results of what he was finding in his laboratory, he was told either you carry on towing the line or you resign. So he's resigned. I would advise anyone who's interested in evolution and about our place in the evolutionary process to have a look at his work. The name's Bruce Lipton.
You know, you've had you've been talking to some of the people here at the camp, and I'm going to finish up. I'm going to go back to commonly known as Dom and let him have the worst word on this. The last word, or the worst word. You know what I mean? Because you know, I'd like to say something about this guy, about Dom. I'm going to kneel down for this. I'd like to say something about him. This man has been attacked, and I really genuinely believe that there are certain people within our institutions that do not want this man around. So you're doing well at the moment, you know what I mean? Would you die for your cause?
I don't think I will ever die.
Do you think would you physically die for your cause? Not spiritually, physically.
If they physically take out this body, fair play to them, then it will give me a rest.
So you would? You're prepared if that happens?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? When that ex-copper was strangling me the other week down here, it's like I looked him in the eye and I thought, if this is what you want to do to one of your brothers, that's what you want to do. But it's going to sit on you, and we are shown by our fruits. And it's quite that simple. I've been called every name under the sun, even a sex offender bill, and I think...
So have I. I've been called a paedophile, and I've spent the last 6 years making films against it.
Exactly. So, like, at the end of the day, you know what I mean, I'm easily traceable. So these people are questionable that are putting these smear campaigns about people like ourselves that are trying to get true words out.
Yeah.
All we're trying to do is expose how corrupt this government is, and it's enslaving people through fear and control and pieces of paper.
Yeah.
And we can get away from that just by spreading that knowledge.
Thank you, Dom. And I'll tell you what, remember this face, because you're going to see a lot more of it. I'm just going to go around and ask these people a question. Would you die for your cause?
No. That's a really good question, Bill. Would I die for Occupy? No. Would I die for freedom? Yes.
You would die for freedom?
Yeah. Yes.
Would you die for freedom?
Absolutely.
You would die for freedom?
For freedom, liberty, justice, absolutely.
Would you die for freedom?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Bo, would you die for freedom?
Most definitely, if that's what it took.
Bryony, would you die for freedom,
I
darling?
think I'd like to raise my kids to the age they can look after themselves.
And then you die.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Bill, can I ask you one thing? Right, what's your views on Lockheed Martin and the census?
Lockheed Martin and the census. Well, I think the census is an infringement anyway, and I think Lockheed Martin is there for the destruction of people that are spiritually tuned in. You see, the big institutions, they don't like spirituality. We've got a gland in our brain, it's called the pineal gland. You know it, the pineal gland, and we got a round of applause from Andy on that one. Now, what do you know the pineal gland? I've got a lot of faith in spirituality, okay? It's like, I'm a friend of Jesus, right? But a bit unorthodox, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you something, you know,
it's not unorthodox, it's because the church is unorthodox.
But what it is like Jesus, he doesn't mind me using expletives. So I'm going to say fuck off and bollocks. Jesus don't mind. He's never come into my head and he's gone, Bill, stop that. You know what I mean? What he does say to me, when he says, get out, do it. I was brought up in the care institutions, myself and my 7 siblings, in the Catholic institutions, and we were all abused, either sexually, physically or psychologically, and they tried to control us, but where they couldn't control us, we wouldn't go to school, so we never became part of that, the indoctrination, not the education, because it is not an education in this country, the same as the rest of the so-called democracy, it's an indoctrination. And it don't look like you've been indoctrinated either.
I wasn't very well behaved at my compliance farms, got kicked out of many schools. It started with a process of stand at the back of the room, now stand in the corner of the room, now put your face to the corner of the room, now stand outside, now go to the headmaster, now get out of the school. And now I got kicked out of every school that I went to. Simply, I used to think I was a troublemaker, but it was for the same reason that I'm getting called a troublemaker here, because I'm asking questions. I'm asking the right questions to the wrong people. They don't want to answer these questions.
But you have to challenge your government.
MIT, which is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which are closely linked to Lockheed Martin and the Tavistock Institute, have done a protest survey for the Occupy movement, and thousands of people have been filling it out, and it's exactly like a census. Well,
you know what I mean, that's a little bit like Sweeney Todd advertising hairdressing. If that makes a sense. Anyway, so I'd like to thank you all, and let's keep going and get a shot of that hand, because see that grip, you can't loosen that. Okay, here we have Tammy Samede there. Tammy Samede, I know Tammy, and Tammy has been an activist for quite a few years now, and she's also been sort of specialising in the same field as we have, if you like, and that is child abuse. Tammy, what's going on? You're in trouble.
We're all in trouble.
We're all in
Everyone's
trouble.
in trouble. If you're talking about this particular camp right now.
Yeah, what you're doing.
Filed for appeal
against
the eviction order that the City of London got.
And
waiting to see what happens, if there's any news about that after the weekend sort of thing, and then if that fails, we'll have to go to Strasbourg.
Go to Strasbourg. So, well, what you do, what you got to do. What I've been saying to people is, we're outside like the biggest, really well-known church, Christian, in our country. But if Jesus was here, he wouldn't agree with people being thrown out, not being listened to, and we're doing this because we haven't got a voice, Tammy.
Exactly.
So, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I'm Christian, but as you probably know, but that over there has nothing to do with my faith, and I hate it.
I believe
I hate
that's
that
how I feel.
I don't. I think they're career clergy. It's the bizarre because I'm on the church liaison group, so I actually go and meet with the clergy once a week, and it's just the weirdest, most fucked up situation. I mean, you're talking to people with dog collars, and they're so slippery, you know. Sometimes it's like
most of the time.
Yeah, well,
you know, if you go back to my history, I mean, we were abused by the Catholic institutions and the priests and the nuns. I don't know if I ever told you, but it was a nun who taught me how to fly. She grabbed hold of me in an orphanage and started chucking me around the room.
You know, and when you look at it, they're all tied in. I mean, this city, in my opinion, is very Masonic, very crooked, very dodgy. Now, you know, we're now stuck between the two where the camp is. You've got the City of London, the stock exchange and all that crap over there, and then you've got this cathedral. But what angers me the most is, when you look, Jesus threw the moneylenders out of the temple.
Yeah.
Now, on the list of Board of Trustees, you've got Goldman Sachs for the cathedral, Goldman Sachs, you've got BP, you've got all of the main bankers. And, I mean, it's just
I think the Queen is a major shareholder in BP. I know she's a shareholder in EDF, the energy people. She owns the island of Jersey.
Oh yeah, she would, wouldn't she?
And Jersey, over there. Well, we made a film called Sunsea and Satan about the abuse at Haute de la Grande. That is her island. She owns that. Take no responsibility for it. And
it's
a strange thing.
Holiday to have.
Well, yeah, a strange thing about that place. When we was over there shooting Sunsea and Satan, we saw her over there and she said hello to us. She come across the road on her horse with her entourage, but she wasn't meant to be in Jersey at the time.
Oh, I think she should be in Jersey at all. I mean,
I've just committed treason again.
Good.
Yeah, that's it.
I'd gladly get rid of her myself, to be honest.
Yeah. And all of them, because especially, the case of Jeffrey Epstein, the child trafficker. So he's a billionaire child trafficker, right? And he is best friends with Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
Just after he got out of prison for trafficking children all around the world and abusing children, then we got Prince Andrew walking through Central Park with Jeffrey Epstein, another financier.
Bill, do you remember, was it a couple of weeks back now, there was a story in the papers about the body that was found in the ground?
Yeah, it's Sandringham.
Yeah, where's that come from? How does somebody just get in there?
Well, listen, you keep doing what you're doing, and I know, I can tell you something about this lady. When this is finished, she'll be doing something else because she's fighting for freedom. And when you see all these tents and you see these people and you try and denigrate them and you say things like, oh, they all look like drug addicts and alcoholics, etc. This is where freedom starts. This is where it begins. And she's one of the top. Love you. And I'll tell you what, would you die for freedom?
Oh yeah, if I had to.
And everyone I've asked that here today has said yes, they would die for freedom.
Yeah, a lot of people die for freedom at home in Syria. Yeah, exactly.
They're walking into bullets willingly over that.
And they want to shoot our kids on the street in demonstrations now with live ammunition and rubber bullets. Did you know I was running for London Mayor?
No.
Do you like that one? That's a dirty little trick I've thrown. Yeah, I'm not there yet.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!